Those who do not live it read, watch, listen, and experience it vicariously. Why did I start this room? I started this room because there is something that I've noticed, and I just want to kind of talk about it. I didn't know whether to share it in my musing space or open it up publicly here for everybody else, so I chose the latter. But I've noticed that my experiences, observations, hearing people share their stories and insights, and empathizing with them has given me a lot of wisdom and knowledge that I am reading within the books that I probably should have read years ago. But a lot of these times, I'm going through these books and I'm like, yeah, I already know that. Yeah, I already know that. And I am only reading these books for the purpose of, okay, how do I set these thoughts in my own story and tone? And what is the best way to do it? One of the things that I've noticed as well is one of the greatest shifts that I chose to do in my life is stop watching TV and start really living life. I would make the quote of, I don't watch TV, I make TV, since I worked in the entertainment industry. But when I decided to do that, life got way more interesting. And the knowledge and the wisdom I've gained from living my life and firsthand experiencing these things have given me a broader span of knowledge than anything I could have ever read from a book, or even more insight and wisdom into what someone else is dealing with when I've dealt with it myself. But then there's the other aspect of experiencing things vicariously when I was in game testing, understanding that being a game developer and building the game world is a lot like being God. It sets the parameters. You're building the world. You're building how the world works. You're mirroring the real world, but also you're defying real world physics. And it's this huge ordeal. And that gives you such a vastly deeper insight into what it takes to make things work and how amazing life really is. And that the game world, we're able to set the parameters, but what about the real world where we don't set the parameters and it seems rather limitless? And then there's the other aspect on this, on being empathic or highly empathic, where you can almost experience the physical sensations, the story, even from a book. You can really get into that experience. But once again, it's not the same as actually experiencing it yourself, but you get this little viewpoint, this little snippet of what someone else is going through and how they're experiencing life just by being empathetic. So I guess my question is, what is the greatest thing that you've learned vicariously through others, through a book, through a different medium? And how do they compare or contrast to what you've learned through direct experience?
The quote that had a big impact on me said, if you can't learn from your own experience, you're doomed. To learn from the experience of others is smart, but to learn from the experience of those who don't exist, which is an imagined future, is wise. And it's referring to your ability to not only observe the behavior of others, but also think forward and think about the long-term repercussions of your behavior and the behavior of others. Caveat to that is it takes a very curious mind to have the awareness and the state of inquiry to look around and ask questions and understand others, where most people are really struggling to even understand themselves and how they act in the world. So I've learned from books, movies, people who have died, smart people like yourself. And yeah, most people don't have that level of curiosity or inquiry.
I like that, utilizing the imagination and having a vicarious experience through that, which is something a lot of people supposedly use to train, like Olympic athletes. This is something that I've heard people use flotation therapy for. And even in Hatha yoga, if you can't do the yoga postures, you can visualize it and it gives much the same effect. So yeah, that is something that definitely gets to be highlighted in this. And there are lots of studies that show how effective using the imagination is when it comes to training muscle memory and working through things before you actually do them. Yes, and I like this because curiosity is a very key component to learning, to having openness, to overcoming any fear that can hold a person back. And I just really appreciate that you couple that in with the vicarious experience, because, I mean, really that is part of it, like that curiosity of, well, if I'm somewhat experiencing this in this way, now can I apply it to my life? Also, one of the things that I haven't considered yet is coupling curiosity with awareness. So initially I would separate those things, but I like how I kind of brought them together as well.